Anyanwu, also known as Colossus Ken, IFBB Pro bodybuilder, your 2023 North American overall champion, and 2023 Mr. New Jersey. And also, Animal's newest athlete. Born and raised New Jersey, training in the gym was something that was very, very dear to me. It kept me disciplined. It kept me, as someone, stay out of trouble. I actually also have a day job. So I work as a IT engineer on my day-to-day job. Also part-time, I guess, pro bodybuilder, if you will. When I was younger, you're looking for your place, right? You kind of want to prove yourself to someone or something. I was relatively decent at sports, but I just felt like no one ever really took me seriously. One day, I actually fell upon pump and iron. That was the first time that I saw what bodybuilding really was. Being that we are part of the internet generation, the first thing was like, how can I get big muscles? So I went online. Dexter Jackson had just won the 2008 Mr. Olympia. And that was how I went into the rabbit hole of bodybuilding. I purchased Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. I signed up to the gym. And pretty much from there, the rest is pretty much history. I continued training. I just never felt that I was ever gonna be good enough to compete, if I'm being completely honest with you. And that kind of changed. I had always trained, I had always worked out. When the pandemic hit, I realized I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't train, I was stuck at home, and I realized that to have a gift to do something and not to be able to use it. And I told myself that day, I remember sitting outside on a summer day, haven't had a haircut in like 2 months, looking disheveled. And I told myself that when things open back up, I'm going to step on a bodybuilding stage and I'm going all the way. So it's always hard when you talk about bodybuilding as a career. To be quite honest with you, I still don't consider it a full-time career on my part, hoping to head into that direction. But in terms of taking it a lot more seriously, being a lot more involved, I watched all the shows from the Olympia all the way to amateur shows. I watched every single one of them. But I just never felt that I was good enough to be someone that was worthy to step on that stage and try and get a pro card. I had seen from time to time different people attempt for 5-6 years and not be able to make it. So I felt like, who am I to even consider that? Self-frustration that I had this gift and this talent that wasn't being utilized. So I decided to get my hands and try it. So I hired a local coach. In 2021, we went ahead and we went to Delaware Championships, and I took overall there. My first bodybuilding show in the NPC, I took overall. I realized that maybe I do have a chance, or maybe I am really good at this, and I just was not looking at things as objectively as I should. Of course, my proudest achievement to date is winning the North American Championships and turning pro. I had mentioned earlier that Dexter Jackson was one of the first people, and he's actually one of my bodybuilders I look up to. Dexter Jackson turned pro at the North Americans as well. To win an overall and achieve your pro card is a very big deal in today's world, because in hindsight, that is the old way of how things were done. And for me, that just solidified things for me that, okay, you know what? I am really good at this. To have been able to achieve a pro card in a really relatively definite fashion. And then personal achievement in bodybuilding was actually the New Jersey State Championships this year. That was the first time that my mom had actually ever seen me compete in bodybuilding, and she realized how good I was. For me, that was a very personal achievement. It felt like it was a point of acceptance that bodybuilding was something that my own mom also believed that I could actually do. It's one thing to believe it in yourself. It's another thing when your parents gain that belief as well. First person is definitely my girlfriend. She's been a great support system since pretty much the first day I said I was gonna turn pro. We're sitting in the car driving to the beach, and I'm, telling her I'm gonna be a pro bodybuilder. And she looks at me with no doubt in her mind. And she's like, I know you can do it. She had absolute faith in me. And You know, she's been with me throughout this entire journey. Second person in my corner is actually Brian Driver, one of my great longtime friends. I met Brian about over a decade ago. At the time, I was just a guy that trained. Like I said, I trained hard, and he saw me. He was actually one of the first people that told me, like, listen, you can be a pro bodybuilder. You've got the gift of this. I never really took it that way, but when I decided to go on this journey and start, he was the first person I called. I was still hesitant about getting a coach to start my bodybuilding journey. Brian was so insistent that he knew I could do it. He said, you're not backing out of this. And he paid for the first 3 months of my coaching. And that's pretty much how I got into, you know, we started to go seriously. So without him, maybe I would have backtracked. I never know. The last person on that list, who's someone who's become a very dear friend to me in this past year or two, is Sid Rai. Sid Rai is also another amateur bodybuilder. He's probably gonna go pro at some point this year. We're around the same age, but he's like a big brother to me. The experience that he's had in the industry, you know, he's kind of taking me under his wing. That's someone I can always confide in if I have questions on training, if I have questions on anything. Like, these three people, I definitely want to give them their credit. And of course, the last person is my coach, Anyanwu. You know, my journey to turning pro, he's the one that really turned the key and sealed that confidence that you have what it takes to be a great bodybuilder. So those four people are definitely have my gratitude. The serious guys in the gym, we were all using animal brands. We all had Animal Pack. We all had the animal shirts. In fact, this shirt I'm actually wearing here is so nostalgic because I had this exact shirt in red, you know, back in college, and I wore that shirt everywhere. The introduction to Animal pretty much came from the iconic Brian Moss photos. You know, you would see of the great people that came before, Evan Centopani, Frank McGrath. These guys, you know, Animal were the pioneers of kind of what we're seeing today in the fitness industry. You know, the getting big on a budget, you know, going to go grocery shopping. I remember as a college student, I would sit down and watch those black and white videos routinely, day in, day out. That's kind of how I got introduced to the brand, you know, honestly. And I've been a fan ever since. That's what Animal as a brand means to me, tenacity.
But there was one person that wanted to deliver a special message to you.
Whoa. Whoa.
Kennedy, what's up, brother? I just got word minutes ago that you're going to be joining the team here at Animal, and I'd like to be one of the first to welcome you aboard. It's crazy to think, not long ago, you and I were sitting in the audience together watching the New York Pro, and now all of a sudden, you're a fellow Animal. Congratulations. I'd like to extend a hand and let you know that if I can ever help in any way, I'm always here, and essentially, I'm just looking forward to watching your journey. So I hope to see you soon. Congrats again, brother.
Wow. Wow. No matter who it is that you meet at some point in your life, you don't know what impression that you're going to have on them and what that could do for their life. So I'll put this on record here for you, Evan. Thank you. Because of you, I think that's also part of why I'm here today. So thank you. So the next big goal, being from New Jersey, is the New York Pro. Right now we're in the off season. We're doing everything to make sure that when we step on stage next year, it's going to be going for a win. I work, I train, I come back home, rinse, repeat. Unfortunately, it's the reality. If you want to be great at something, you're going to have to sacrifice, because there is no balance. It doesn't exist. To be great at something, you've got to sacrifice in some capacity in order to achieve your set goals. You know, motivation is what gets you started, and then it's the discipline that keeps you going. I wake up in the morning, I go do my cardio, I go to work, and then I go back and train. I don't think of it from a perspective of, I'm so motivated to do this today. Some days I'm tired, I don't want to do it. I'll be honest, I don't want to do it. But you have a goal and you strongly feel within yourself, this is a goal that I can achieve. You're willing to sacrifice in order to meet that goal. The motivation comes in spurts, but the discipline is what keeps me grounded on a day-to-day basis. If I was just starting, the main advice that I would probably give to someone is just learn to love it. Because with bodybuilding, it's glamorous. You're gonna have a lot of lonely days, training. You know, you're gonna be eating 6 times a day. So learn to love it, because if you're doing it for someone else or for some other goal, it's not gonna be a very sustainable practice. So that's the best advice that I'll probably give someone starting out. You have to be willing to do what others won't do. If I have to wake up and do 2 hours, 3 hours of cardio every single day, I'm doing my 2 to 3 hours of cardio because I want to win. It's not just about yourself anymore. It's about wanting to beat the competition. It means being relentless, right? Being able to dig deep. When you're pushed to your limits, there's something in you that forces you to keep going, to keep fighting back. That dog in you, that animal in you, the innate human will to keep going. The worst circumstances, the worst physical circumstances possible. You gotta know what you're fighting for to begin with. If you don't have a goal, how could you keep going? In my life, when it comes to challenges, you know, like I said, I felt like quitting at some point because, to be quite frank with you, I felt like my life was going nowhere. I felt like I was running the rat race and just working a 9 to 5 till it's over. The dreams that I had for myself, I felt like they were starting to die before me, right in front of my eyes, and it put me in a dark place. Bodybuilding saved me a lot of times earlier in my childhood. Kind of was just my sanctuary. It's given me so many gifts that I'm thankful for. Bodybuilding is the ultimate self-mastery of discipline. It teaches you about delayed gratification. To be a good bodybuilder, you're going to put in effort day in, day out, and you may not actually get the results. You know, you're gonna put in all that work with no guarantee that you may get the results that you want. But it's that belief that you're working towards something. And that has translated a lot into different facets of my life. Out of the physical aspect of, you know, looking big and looking great, the psychological aspect of being able to put yourself in uncomfortable positions. You're willing to put that time down in order to achieve something. I think that's the ultimate gift that bodybuilding gives to every single one who participates in this sport.